let us return to one of our top stories. Now, the U.S. Department of Justice is investigating how dozens of top secret military documents ended up on the internet. Now, the classified documents include information on the war in Ukraine. Well, for more on this leak, we can cross live and speak with Arise U.S. correspondent Eric Ham. Eric, I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday this afternoon. Now, tell us more about what is inside these documents and what they tell us about the war in Ukraine.
Well, these are a treasure trove of documents that have been released. And what's so interesting about the documents, of course, is how timely the documents are, let alone how sensitive they are. In fact, many of these documents that have been released on information that has recently been gathered. So we're talking information going back just a month ago or even 2 months ago. And in many of these documents, of course, there are a number of documents relating to not only U.S. allies, but also U.S. foes. But of course, there are, as you mentioned, documents that look directly at how the United States has gathered information, particularly around Ukraine. And we know that much of the information in the war in Ukraine not only focuses on some of the key deficiencies within Ukrainian forces and defenses, but it also looks very closely at how far the United States has penetrated Russia as well. Not only the Russian Defense Ministry, but also one of the key fighting assets for Russia, the Wagner Group. And so this is information that has not been known until now, but it is causing massive headaches here in Washington for the Pentagon as well as the Biden administration as they try to get their heads around how this information was leaked. And more importantly, what does it mean for U.S. national security? In fact, there are growing concerns that this could be tremendously embarrassing for the United States and that many allies might begin to pull away from the United States as a result of this massive leak. We know that even since the leak has been discovered, the Pentagon has now begun to actually cut back tremendously on how and who is actually getting access to some of the most sensitive information through the Pentagon. And so this is going to be, I think, in fact, many sources have said that this is perhaps the biggest leak since the Ed Snowden leaks that took place a few years ago as well.
Now, Eric, do we know who leaks these documents?
Well, at this time, there is no information about who might have leaked these documents. Clearly, based on the information and how the documents were obtained, what we do know is that it seems as though they were hastily gathered and the information was leaked online. One of the social media sites where these documents were leaked, Discord, we do know that they are cooperating with the investigation that is ongoing. And we also know that not only has the Justice Department opened an investigation into these documents, but there's a massive investigation taking place, a multi-agency investigation looking at how these documents could have been leaked as well.
All right, you've just mentioned that the Department of Justice has opened an investigation, but what has been the reaction to this massive data leak?
Oh, this is going to have tremendous ramifications. In fact, already we know from our sources that the Pentagon has not only has notified other key security agencies about the leak, but we also know that congressional allies and committees have also been made aware of the leak also. And also what we are seeing is that now the United States is now trying to, as best it can, shore up many of its close allies about these documents. And we know that the State Department is also reaching out because not only is this a massive security breach, but it's also causing tremendous headaches for U.S. diplomatic forces as well. And so this is going to be a major problem for the United States for the foreseeable future. And just to give some example of how this is all playing out, one of the United States' closest allies in the Middle East, Israel, we know that there have been sensitive documents that were released. And this only continues to propel the idea, particularly in the Netanyahu camp. They believe that the United States is behind the ongoing protests in Israel. And so now what we're seeing here is the United States is now trying to bridge some of these massive gaps as a result of this leak with many of its close allies, including Israel, South Korea, and many others.
All right, I want to say many thanks to you, Iraj U.S. correspondent Eric Ham. Thank you for your time here on Newsday.